Hey, what's going on, everyone? So I just wanted to make a video that I thought would be very helpful to me when I first started, and even kind of going along my journey into the profession in the photography and videography world. And it's kind of the bag that that you might be forgetting to take type of thing. I'm just going to pull out a bunch of stuff here that has helped me, that I've accumulated throughout the years since I started freelancing and getting into it as a profession and hobby and everything. And to show you kind of what's in here. And I know if you're the spicy or advanced person, this might not be news to you, but I thought that this video would be pretty helpful for people just starting out, or people just looking for answers on how to, better their businesses and to be better prepared. So let's dive into this. I'm going to pull out some stuff, just describe it. And yeah, I guess this is kind of like a what's in my bag, but for photo, video people. Let's just talk about it. So one thing I always start off by saying, especially when you're going to a gig or to some kind of job that you're working on, is definitely, if you can, go to the space that you might be working at, go to the venue, go to the park or wherever, and kind of establish where you're going to keep your base camp. By base camp, I mean a very safe, secure place to keep your camera gear and everything, because if you're at a wedding and you just leave it out in the middle of the open, anyone can come and just steal your stuff. So find a place where yourself and your assistant or whoever, you might be able to see it, but that there is a security camera looking at it, or etc. So go in, establish a base camp, and maybe even a more secure space if the venue allows it as well. And definitely start with that. But if you can't physically go, I always recommend calling the venue or the place that you're going to work and talk to either the manager or the event planner or whoever is there and ask for layouts and everything like that. And, where you can keep your gear, what's off limits, where the electrical outlets are. They should have all that information. But all that being said, here's some tips and tricks and everything that I have here that I bring pretty much on every trip, because you never know, just in case. It might be a little bit overkill, but this is kind of what I have. The first thing, which I'm using now, I can't show you, but it's obvious, is an extension cord. Bring a couple extension cords, be it very thick, cheap ones, 3-prong, 2-prong, etc. And especially if you're working overseas, your adapters and all that kind of stuff. So definitely look into that. But as we kind of go into this, I do have another extension cord right here. Actually, this is my 2-prong one, I think. So whatever. All that being said, we go from here. I kind of have a car, like a car tie down type thing that I use to secure my gear to things, all depending on where we're at, etc. I have kind of working light gloves. If you're ever moving something heavy, you're ever working in like lighting department and all that kind of stuff, I've got padded gloves that I use and I highly recommend, especially when you're dealing with hot lights. Something like this is pretty good. And then I actually have really thick ones right here that I use as well. These are definitely better for handling hotter lights. But when I was building out jibs and cranes and stuff like that, I loved using these padded gloves because they're able to be pretty tight and they worked very, very well. So I highly recommend them, all depending on what you're doing, of course. More work gloves. I haven't touched this stuff in a little while. I have right here kind of like a built-in flashlight. Obviously, we have our phones nowadays. But I don't even know if this thing works anymore. But I used to use this a lot when I couldn't have my phone around, and it worked. You just crank it, and it develops power. But if you're ever in a tight spot, you can use some kind of flashlight, but you have your phone now, so that's kind of irrelevant, and I guess I should take that out of there. One big thing is a Q-tap right here. Definitely 3-prong. You get a little Q-tap going on because you never know how many devices you'll need to be plugging in, or how the venue is set up, or their electrical outlet situation, everything like that. So I always recommend bringing some kind of a Q-tap right here. Look, it's even smiling at you, or it's shocked. Either way. But a Q-tap, one thing you might not think, just a couple bucks. Go to your local hardware store and give that a go right there. There's another glove, which I don't think I need. So that's that. What do we got in here? So another one as well. You can have a Q-tap. I also have a singular Q-tap as well. It's the same thing, 3-prong. I also have a 2-prong as well. But once again, adapters are very, very key, especially, going into it. Like I said, this is more of a 2-prong to 3-prong, so have your adapters if you need them as well. This one I use, this is actually a ground tester. Let's see if I can get that in focus there. This is actually a ground tester. when you plug this in, the lights will light up in a certain way to show you if an outlet is getting the proper electricity and if it works or not. Basically, nothing happens. It's a dead outlet. But this is very, very good to know, especially if you're location scouting, because this can save your day. If you go there and all of a sudden all the outlets are dead and the event doesn't keep, or the venue doesn't keep up with what they're doing, well, then you're shit out of luck if you need some lights and they're not battery powered or anything like that. So I highly recommend getting a ground tester. Once again, just a couple bucks, grab it at Amazon or your local hardware store and kind of go from there. What else do I have here? Now, normally I had a Leatherman, the thing where you can like open up and it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife of things and stuff like that. And I had a bunch of different connections to go to that. I think I lost that Leatherman, unless it's in here somewhere. It may have broke. But always have kind of different bits of adapters, and I do highly recommend having a Leatherman. But that being said, I don't know if it's in here anymore. So we can just have one of those. They're very, very handy. You never know when you're going to need some kind of Phillips head screwdriver, straight head screwdriver, anything like that. So once again, I highly recommend that. It kind of goes through that portion of the bag. Now, mind you, this isn't the be-all of things that you need, but once again, it's just stuff that I highly, highly recommend. I've got a bunch of clamps, actually, and these aren't for fun or for pleasure. These are to maybe clamp some kind of scrim or some kind of cookie or some goba or something. You can curtains or some kind of diffusion or something like that. Clamps can be very, very beneficial for a lot of things, even for a lot of filters. I used to carry a bunch of filters with me. I don't really do that anymore. The person who I would do that with pretty much has them. But I have a bunch of clamps of different sizes and stuff like that. So I don't know, just stuff to recommend. Once again, it just depends on what you're doing, of course. I do have a Leatherman, actually. So something like this is what I'm talking about. This is a Leatherman. Kind of looks like a switch knife, but it's not. But, you got a wrench, you got pliers, all the stuff that comes out to the side, et cetera, et cetera. I think you kind of get the point of what a Leatherman is, but something I highly, highly recommend bringing along, because you never know when you're going to need to maybe fix your light or fix something in the venue that you 100% need, etc. The only other two things that I have are a box cutter. Just a box cutter. Once again, another kind of knife, but if you have your Leatherman, you should be pretty good. And then just another, this is a two-prong to a three-prong adapter as well. Once again, see if I can get that to focus here. Just stuff like that. So once again, it's nothing crazy. And I have another clamp here as well. Once again, it's nothing absolutely insane that you need. And none of the stuff right here is expensive by all means. But I do recommend a lot of this stuff, especially the extension cords, the adapters, and this ground tester here has saved myself because I was supposed to shoot a wedding at a local place. I went there and scouted because it was only like 20 minutes away. And I asked if I could, look at the venue and go throughout because it wasn't busy. And then I found out two of the main outlets that I needed for some lights and some things that I was doing because a lot of my lights aren't battery powered, besides like flashes and stuff. Because we were also doing video as well. They were dead, and they actually changed those out before we got there and confirmed that they worked, and that kind of really, helped the day throughout that, and made things a bit easier. So, just my recommendations. This is a bag you might be forgetting as a photographer or videographer. Once again, not the be-all, but if you're into the business, into the freelance business, this is some really cool stuff to have in your arsenal that you can really go forward. But if you have any questions or comments, or you want to see more videos like this, please let me know down below. Once again, I know it's a bit different, but this is a video I've been wanting to make for a while. I think I just rambled through the whole video, but I think it's a very helpful thing if you're just getting into the business and you're trying to get a little bit more seasoned in the business as well. But there you go. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully this may jog something for you and helped you out.